All right, yes. So the second life of batteries and the business opportunity for urban mobility industry. First of all, thank you so much to Micromobilities Industries for letting me design this panel. I don't know if I've really seen this panel in a cycle show or micromobility show, and I think it's the right time to talk about it. So here with me to my right, I have Prins Doornekamp of Nowos, who actually I did meet through my time at Super 73. And to my left, we have Jasper Baltus of Ecaraccu. So please introduce yourselves briefly and about your company, and we'll go into a little bit more detail. Prins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My name is Prins Doornekamp. I'm the founder of Nowos. Before I had a company in the development and the production of lithium-ion batteries. And then when I sold the company, the question raised, what do we do with the end-of-life products? And that's how Nowos was founded in 2019. We have an interesting group of co-founders. Jan Bartels, he's the founder of the Dutch Compliance Organization 23 years ago. So he has all the knowledge from recycling and legislation. And with my knowledge about the production and engineering, we can really close the loop. We focus mainly on repairing batteries. And we do that within the limitations of the UN 38.3 and the CE. So the type approvals always stay valid. And we do that on an B2B industrial scale. So we work mainly for the battery manufacturers and the larger e-mobility manufacturers in Europe.
Thanks. Jasper.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jasper. I'm the managing director of Ecaraccu. It's a mix of e-car from the e-car electric cars, and accu, of course, the Dutch word for battery packs. Ecaraccu is founded in 2016, and it is receiving waste battery packs from electric vehicles, and it tries to give them a second life. And I work at Ecaraccu since 2017, and I think we have reused more than 20 megawatt hour the last 6 years.
Thank you. And I did want to mention that there was actually supposed to be a fourth person here, Cecilia Wiesbach of Circulion. And it's yesterday we were talking about disruptions in the supply chain, especially COVID. And guess what? She caught COVID. And it's very unfortunate because it would have been really nice to have her here. She's doing something super cool, but I'll let you check out that company. But why did we assemble this panel? I really wanted to show the business opportunity here of battery repair and reuse. There's some legislations coming up. I think it's important for us to think about this now. There's a lot of untapped value left in batteries. Apparently 90% of the cells are still reusable with about 90% state of health. So what do you do with that? And when the batteries are repaired, the success rate is 93%, something like that. I think you gave me that data.
Correct.
So here I really want to kind of give you vision on what's happening in this industry, from the EV and truck battery side, but also smaller micromobility, and to think about inspired changes in your own operations. So, clearly, I think we can all agree that batteries should not just, be left sitting in a warehouse. There's a lot to do with them. So I'll let these gentlemen kind of explain to you what they're doing and what is actually in full development. So also, you didn't mention, I'm curious to know more about the origin story of Ecaraccu.
Oh, yeah.
What's the story behind how you do this business?
The story is that there is a car dealership, Ursen Barte, and it is a car dealership of Mitsubishi, Nissan and Hyundai. And it's mainly focused in North Holland. And the car dealership also sold a lot of Mitsubishi Outlanders, which is the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. And there was a special repair needed for the battery pack. So 3 of the, I think, 30 dealerships in Holland were chosen to be a repair center. And that was started in 2014, and we saw that the battery packs were coming in. But there was just a small dent in the casing, or just one cell was broken, or just one connector was broken. But mainly the focus was that the battery wasn't repaired, but the full battery pack was fully replaced. And that was, of course, a shame if you know that more than 99% of the whole battery pack was still okay. Then the founder and the owner of the car dealership thought, no, I would like to keep that battery pack and give tried to give it a second life, and that wasn't actually so easy because it had the status of a waste. And if you're gonna reuse it, who is then the producer of that waste? Is it the one? Is it still Mitsubishi? Is it the one who creates the battery pack with it? So it was quite hard to realize that. And then we went to the Dutch government, and we would say we would like to reuse these EV battery packs. And being in the process of 2 years, Ecaraccu is now on paper a recycler and also a producer of his own waste, and he creates his own product. And in that way, we can reuse the parts from from the battery packs from electric vehicles. And then when all the documentation was done in 2016, it was my internship in 2017 to make it a business.
Wow, so you've been really developing this from the start, and
Yeah,
probably seen a lot of changes.
It wasn't actually an official company when I started.
Wow,
It was
okay.
just
Good timing.
The first battery was coming in, and then it's like a car mechanic, so they don't know how to make battery packs, and actually I also didn't.
Right.
So
It's still all new.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same thing? How has the relationship with your clients evolved? I mean, first of all, I think it's just even a couple of years ago. You're not. When was Nowos founded again?
Nowos 2019.
Yeah. So
But
it's
it
very
actually
recent.
started already in the old company.
Yeah.
That we had clients all over Europe, and they started asking questions: what do we do with waste? And that was not very clear. So the only option you had was joining a compliance organization, and then everything is declared as waste. What actually Jasper just said, we found a slightly different solution to avoid that. It's fully according to the rules. Also, I think how you should interpret it, at least our discussions with the European Union, different panels, is that it's really weird. Somebody needs to declare it as waste to become waste. And so what we do, batteries we receive and cannot be repaired, we inspect them. And so under inspection, you can ship them and do all the things you need to do. And then if they are unrepairable, we declare them as waste. And then they go to a compliance organization. And that avoids the situation that we become a waste processor. Because if you become a waste processor, it becomes more and more difficult to get your permits. And even opening a bank account as a waste company is already difficult. Yeah.
Huh.
They have not a good reputation, apparently. Yeah.
Wow.
Something with VAT and those kind of things.
Yeah, so the status of the cells, the batteries, is still in full flux. So this is a good opportunity to kind of like,
Now there are more options. So if you really read the regulations, then let's say differently. The old industry that's doing like the compliance organizations and the waste processors, they work already for 25 years in a certain way. And they interpreted the rules like, okay, we declare it waste, so it becomes waste and you cannot do anything in the meantime. But if you read the regulations, there are many options in between. And also the new regulations that will come, the extended producer responsibility, they even enforce to repair and also to reuse. And then declare it as waste. So we also call ourselves a waste prevention center, as opposite to the recycling company.
they're trying to catch, the batteries right before they go into recycling and seeing what. I believe now you just moved to a larger location to also kind of do more work on the batteries. You're seeing more products coming in, more different types of batteries. So.
Yeah, also more reuse we get now. So we know Jasper, he's one of our customers. And so we get more and more offer from our clients, especially in the ride share. They want to be more sustainable and say, okay, these batteries are not usable anymore for our vehicles because the radius is too short. But we don't want to make it waste. We want to do something sensible with it, something responsible with it. And they offering us now those batteries. We disassemble and test and check, and then we find partners throughout Europe who use these packs or the cells and to build mostly energy storage systems out.
So can you tell me a little bit more, maybe Jasper, about the process? Once you have these batteries, what's the process of dismantling, diagnostics?
Yeah, no, fine. I also would like to add that Prins has a repair shop within Nowos, I understand. And the process I'm in is that the repair shop is actually doing by the car dealership. And it's not only Mitsubishi, it can also be Kia or Hyundai, or it doesn't matter. But when a car dealership in Holland, the Netherlands, can't repair the battery pack, then it goes actually to us. So we are actually one step later than I think your process. The batteries are coming, so it's already been taken out of the car, and the package which was used for bringing the new battery to the car dealership, the new battery is getting out of the box and under the car, and the old battery is placed into the old packaging, and then it goes to us. It goes to us by truck, and then we open up the package and we inspect the battery pack visually, and then we look for is there some water damage or fire damage or some dents, and we can say that some dents are dangerous and some aren't, because we know where the cells actually are inside the battery pack. So it's quite easy to say, right, this is quite risky and this is not risky. After that inspection, it comes into our building, and then we break it open. We remove the cover, and we gonna dismantle each and every part. And after the dismantling, we're gonna test the modules and sometimes also the electronic parts, and then the casing of you have the packaging and the casing of the battery pack that goes to the normal waste streams. So wood goes to wood, and metal goes to metal, and copper to copper, and plastic to plastic.
So it's still a very like manual process. Like
it is manual, but
anything automated?
No, but it's the amounts aren't big enough to so, and it's actually quite fun to dismantle
Really?
electric vehicles. Yes,
Well, that's the first time I hear that.
No, it's really nice. It's sometimes we also when there's nice weather like this, we have a big parking spot, and then we bring the battery packs outside, and we're gonna dismantle outside.
Do you do that as well, Prins?
No.
Do you have a garden party? And
No. We do high volume, so we are specialized in the B2B, and we have some automation, some extent, but like a certain test thing you can automate. They are recurring. But the interesting part compared to production of a battery is that these batteries all have a different problem. So in a certain extent you can automate a test after the battery is done, when it's repaired. But the fault finding, let's say, that's always a manual part. That being said, we are at the moment developing more equipment to do more automated diagnosing, especially on the cells, and to help our engineers to make a better assessment, and also quicker, earlier in the process of the battery, to speed up time, lowering the cost.
Because I think a lot of this is related to also the way that batteries are designed. So, I mean, it's still, let's say we're starting to automate this process, but it's still kind of manual. And I think the batteries, the way they're designed today, I mean, we've been talking about this big black gooey stuff in batteries, which is really hard. So luckily, we've seen some innovation in new battery design, but like, what needs to happen to make this process easier for dismantling?
Now, one of the services we didn't talk about, we also, because from the past, we help our clients engineer batteries, and we call it eco-engineering. So we only help clients that want to make it easier to repair and easier to reuse battery. And you can do quite a lot. So the way you assemble the packs, but also the diagnosis you do in the BMS, that can already really help in assessing what the problem is and what the health of the battery is. And also material choice. And what you say with the silicon, you have, especially on the ride shares, they had in the beginning a lot of water ingress in the batteries. And so they fully filled it up with silicon, and then basically it's unrepairable. You can only repair a connector or whatever, but it takes so much time to get the glue out, if you can get it out, and then you damage the cells or the wiring. And luckily we see that less and less.
I think it seems like now we're really trying to think about what's up ahead, and if it takes an hour to dismantle a battery, I think now we're able to bring it down to about 6 minutes. There's some companies like Gouache, I believe, they have this new battery design, and they're able to reduce it. And many other companies are designing batteries. So I think that gives hope for the future.
Our biggest, the biggest time, the longest time in the repair process is closing up the battery.
Closing up
And make it again watertight and make sure all the decals are on and those kind of things. That takes, I think, at least 50% of the time.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of to gain in the design of the battery, that you can open and close it, especially the closing part, that all the gaskets align much better.
Right.
And, yeah.
But so, okay, let's say now that you've been able to test these cells, you have kind of, well, we'll talk about steady flow later, but like once you have these cells, what, in your opinion, is the opportunity here? I mean, you've been in the business of already repurposing some of these batteries for energy storage, but can you tell us a little bit more about the applications that you see fit for the types of batteries you have?
Applications, yes. I can. You should understand that a battery pack from the electric vehicles is made out of cells, and these cells is like the cells you know probably from inside your how do you call it, from the with the television?
Like the remote.
Yeah, like the remote. These cylinder cells. So in an electric car you have like 80 till 100 cells in series. You can take all them out one by one. They normally packed in a module, and that module is sometimes closed with an easy plastic copper. You can break it open and you can take out the cells. But sometimes the whole cover is just one massive aluminium frame. So you can't get to the cell. So you have to use the module as it is. So you have to use the configuration of the cells, how it is made. And sometimes it can be 6 cells in series, sometimes it can be 13 cells in series, sometimes 33, sometimes it's just 1 cell. It's actually never the same. And then I just talk about in series. I also talking about how much ampere hour is in 1 cell. It also is diverse. The state of health is diverse. So it's actually really difficult to say there's one solution for all of these cells. All cells have different kind of applications. And then if I look to the highest the prime market for these cells is actually you just use it as it was. Just repair the battery pack. But that's not our business. We are here for second life application. So when that is not possible, then we try to take out these parts and to give it a second life in old-timer cars, to convert them to an electric car. You also have applications with bikes. I have an electric bike, and I've used a battery pack from a Hyundai Kona, and now my bike can drive 200 kilometers for 30 kilometers per hour. It's quite far. But also we have these steps which we can create. We have home storage projects. We have projects with 50 kilowatt hour combined with a company which have solar panels on the roof. And we have our own battery packs which we have put on a trailer with an inverter which creates high power AC. So you can use it at a construction site or at a party or in a festival. And we have now, I think, 20 of these trailers, and we think we're gonna build a lot of more with these used battery packs inside these trailers.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's we're seeing the same thing. Energy storage is a big topic, at least since I've been getting into it. And I think there's a lot of incentives, and I see new companies every month in all sorts of energy storage systems. But for micromobility and the types of products that you deal with, do you see similar application? I mean, I know there's also many different chemistries. There's different chemistries for the cells. So where, can you talk about the chemistries and the applications that are fitting?
Yep. You have the main chemistries we encounter is lithium iron phosphate, or LFP, and NMC. So NMC is mostly in the e-mobility, and LFP is more in the storage, especially where safety or high cycle count is required. And what Jasper actually saying is quite interesting. The cells out of the automotive batteries, they are the most advanced cells on the market. And so with high capacity and so they have a really good second life in, for example, an e-bike with ridiculous ranges of up to 200 kilometers, while a normal e-bike gets around 120 or so. So there's a good use for it. And what we see, especially because in the second life we do mostly lithium iron phosphate at the moment. Start with NMC. The NMCs, we see a lot of clients with energy packs, the power packs, those kind of things. Because in e-mobility, they are less suitable in most cases because of the state of health. And for the LFP, so lithium iron phosphate batteries, they go mostly to energy storage projects, industrial, sometimes home storage. And I think especially the home storage that will grow quite significantly the coming years. And also energy storage, there's a new legislation in the making in Europe that bigger energy storage projects, they need to have at least 6% reused batteries.
6%?
Yeah, about 6%. That's at least the goal they want to do. That sounds very little, but they are really constructing now megawatt sites all over Europe. And then there's still a lot, so it will still be a challenge at the moment, I think, to reach that 6%.
Yeah, and so I think one of the reasons why people are not really going too quickly into this is they're concerned about safety. And also, like, I think there's an issue of transfer of ownership. People are concerned, like, okay, if they give their batteries to be repaired, is their brand name still on it? If it's repurposed, what happens? And there's, afraid of, liability. So, I mean, do you also discuss this with your clients? I mean, are they concerned about safety? What is your answer to that concern?
Yeah, we actually put these fire, how do you say that? Fire
Extinguisher?
Yeah, inside battery packs. So when first of course, these cells should be tested and you should have a good hardware and software safety equipment. But when everything fails, we also build in these fire
extinguisher,
especially made for lithium fires, which slows down the burning process. So I think it's much more safe to reuse it in that way.
Yeah.
But in general, a reuse cell is not less safe than a new cell. And that's a misconception because somebody said, okay, this is a reuse one. That battery broke, or the battery could be in BMS failure or whatever. But the other battery from the same production line will still run, let's say, another 5 years. And the reuse cell is not per se less safe. That is a misconception. And what Jasper said, if you just keep the good practice, like you have the IEC 62619 and the 62620 and the 62133, you should build your battery accordingly. And then also with reuse cell, it is as safe as a new cell. Mm-hmm. And there are also some measurement possibilities to see if you have dendrites. That's always the big topic. You build crystals inside as part of the aging process. And there are things you can measure to see if we have more or less.
Right. And I mean, I know it still might be a little early, but I've been talking to a few other companies here who have been already prototyping energy storage systems and the reuse of their batteries. So that's nice. But there are regulations coming up in a couple of years that are going to really accelerate this. Is that right? Like, I mean, what do people need to start thinking about now, considering the time it takes to develop these systems? And we're not just talking about, just the repair and reuse, but like, these batteries that are coming from OEMs and the brands, they're thinking about the whole process. So what should they be thinking about now that's going to happen in a couple of years in terms of regulations?
The European Union is making new legislation for the right to repair. And that they expect to have that ready in 2024. And then the member states have then up to, let's say, 2026 to implement it. And that means that everybody has the right to repair your battery, and the manufacturer needs to make sure that they have that they have everything in place to do that. So they give the responsibility to the manufacturer or the importer, the one who brings it on the market, that they have that responsibility. So we expect an exponential growth in that. It's just like an S-curve, but the first part will definitely be exponential. And that's quite a challenge because we work now for, let's say 80% of all the Chinese e-mobility manufacturers, and only 2 have approached us in a panic, what do we need to do?
Only 2% have a process in
Only
place.
2 clients
Have a process in
have
place.
approached us. We are approaching all the others, of course. But it also given constraint on their part supply. They are not used to supply lots of parts for repair. And so, there's a logistic nightmare.
Well, so what needs to happen then to give more incentives to some companies to think about giving their batteries? I mean, is supply an issue? I mean, are you getting enough batteries in stock to make it viable for energy storage?
Yeah, actually, my tip for these ones who would like to make a battery pack with second life cells, that you should realize that indeed you can't buy more if you want more. It's you receive what you get, and when I create something out of waste batteries, I already know that I can't take. Normally we build some stock, and then we do a big project, or we do a project for several times, and then it stops because you can't, because of the different kind of modules. You can't say, all right, now I take another module and just put it in the same product line. I think it's different with the small mobility, because then you have these standard 18650 cells. But with automotive modules, you always should realize that you are opening a niche market. And it's actually nice to start with these EV battery packs, but when you want to grow, you can better step to taking over with new cells, or keep it as a niche. Stick with the small amount battery packs.
And what about with Nowos? Is there? I mean, I know it's still kind of recent, but in terms of supply and just information. So right now you're just kind of finding batteries, right? Or people are coming to you, I have 10,000, 20,000 batteries, can you repair? But is there anything else that we can do, to have more predictive analysis on the supply, especially with most products being connected?
Yeah, I think that right to repair, if the consumer is being aware of that, then they will most likely bring it back to the dealership. To repair it, but there we have, at least in the Netherlands, but also I think in Belgium and Germany and most other European countries, a problem. The old system, what I talked about in the beginning, it's still controlled by the compliance organizations, and they declare it waste immediately. So they go in the bin. So as the dealership gets a battery in, they put it in the bin in the Netherlands for Stibat, and it will be picked up and then goes to waste processing. And so there needs to be a change. So there's also a way of thinking and doing with the compliance organizations. That will definitely help. And so what happens now, Jan Bartels, was the co-founder, I think of his 23 years within Stibat, at least half of it, they researched the behavior of the clients. And if there is a financial incentive, then people will bring it in voluntarily. And if there's no financial incentive, then people leave it lying around in their garage. And at the end, it ends up at the landfill. Yeah. And with what we are doing with the repair and also with the reuse and also what Jasper is doing, there is a positive value on products that are end of life for your application. So that should definitely help. But also the old system needs to break.
Yeah, financial incentives always helps. That's for sure. But I mean, and we know that cells and the batteries are, the biggest parts, the biggest emitters of carbon emissions in the whole production of an electric vehicle. So it seems like there'll be a little bit more action to be taken. But let's say, a brand, goes through the whole process of repair, repurposing into energy storage. At the end of this value chain, do you think there's an opportunity as well for carbon credits? I mean, have customers come to you or thinking about this this option as well? Would that be an incentive?
I think the carbon credits will be an incentive, but at the moment the biggest incentive is the shortage of raw materials.
Shortage of raw materials.
And so what we see now, especially by the Asian suppliers, they are building like crazy plants for battery or cell manufacturing, but also recycling plants to create black mass. And the main question is, how do you get those batteries to those plants? So you need to have a better collection scheme, and repair is a really good incentive for people to bring the batteries in, and so that creates a new collection scheme. And especially if you can give a positive value on those discarded batteries, and by now you can, then like with the lead acid battery has no problem anymore, because if you bring it back, they get, I don't know, from 5 to 20 euros per battery. So it's worthwhile collecting those batteries and bring them for recycling. And I think for lithium batteries, we are really close, at least we are around break even at the moment. And I think, within 1 or 2 years, we can even be positive. And so that will definitely change the whole process and thinking of everybody. And,
but so even if, like, let's say we can issue carbon credits at the end, we still need a way to trace these batteries and the materials. Like traceability, how are batteries traced right now and their materials?
Well, traceability is actually the battery packs are quite big.
Yeah,
you can't store your own battery from an electric vehicle in your backyard. So these battery packs, they are actually taken from the market in a good way already in Holland, actually.
Yeah, it depends on the countries. I mean, some have regulations that enforce this.
It can also go to a scrap dealer, and then a scrap dealer will store it and will sell it to someone on the market. That's also happening now in small volumes, and I do believe that will be solved. When there are better regulation, that every battery pack will be going to recycling, and actually when the recycling will generate value. It also stimulates these batteries from the scrap dealer to bring it to recycling. So I actually am not worried about recycling and traceability of batteries from electric vehicles.
I mean, and what about, we're hearing about the battery passport. Is this a solution to trace, or?
Yeah, I think so. A good incentive could be, and it could be carbon credit or battery passport or whatever. If you say, okay, you bring so many kilograms on the market, you also are responsible for taking so many kilograms out of the market, of the materials you put on the market. And a battery passport can definitely help with that, to make clear what materials you put on the market, because a lot don't know. If you are, let's say, a bicycle manufacturer and you buy your batteries from Asia, you are the importer and you are responsible, but often they don't know actually what they are buying. They just buy a black box that's called a battery. And those incentives, I think, can definitely help to. But the other part that really could help is more recycling companies.
More recycling companies.
Yeah, there are only a few. There's quite a monopoly. To give you an example, actually this week we needed to discard, I think, 30,000 kilo lithium iron phosphate batteries.
Yeah.
And there is no recycling plant in the UK. It's not Europe anymore, okay, I know. But it was also before the Brexit. There's nobody who wants to accept them in the UK. And so we are now looking in Europe, in mainland Europe, and we are now 1 week ahead. We know all the recyclers, and we still have no definite answer who wants them. We found one, and they charge us €4 a kilogram.
Wow. Okay.
And one battery weighs 55 kilogram.
Yes, I know the value of batteries changes also per country and everything, but we do have to wrap up. Any last thoughts from Jasper about the opportunity here?
No, so
It seems like we got to accelerate everything, but if you want to come talk to us, we'll be around the show. We'd love to hear your insights and questions. There's a lot to talk about. So thank you very much for your attention, and we'll see you later at the show.